finishing up that good cup of joe. And guys, we're right at the cusp of finishing up the end of the year. And as we launch into the last part of 2025, Kershaw has not left us hanging with not one, but two USA-made launch knives, brand new for the end of the year. And I am here for it because they are radically different, not only in materials, but also in their purpose-built designing, with the new Launch 23 being sleek, slim, fast in the hand, light in the pocket, and sporting a more high-value approach. And then the Launch 22 being aggressively purpose-built for overuse and tactical, potentially, applications. And really gonna enjoy diving in with you guys today, highlighting what I see these excelling at, where they have drawbacks, because they both have drawbacks, a few little issues that I'm seeing here, but the radically insane value that the Launch series continues to bring to the table all the way in 2025. I got competitive options for us to discuss and a few things that I would like to see Kershaw do differently as we go into 2026. And I think you guys may agree. So buckle up. It is going to be a wild ride as we launch into these two knives. We are going to dive right in. And if you're new, I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. We're going to dive right in with the Launch 22. And I have chapters in the timeline below. So if you are more interested in the 23, you can skip ahead, bounce around, do that type of stuff to make it YouTube, the tube for you. You know, not anybody else, not the algorithm, you guys. You guys are what matter and what's most important. Now, right away you can see here that there is some aggression built into whoever designed this was a little angry. I'm going to be honest here. That's what it feels like, because we're looking at a 3.4-inch blade with a medium saber grind on a bayonet style with an unsharpened swedge with a maximum stock thickness back here by the jimp of 0.16. This is an overbuilt beast on, you guessed it, MagnaCut, USA-made MagnaCut. HRC claimed 62 to 64, exactly what we want to see in that. And the edge geometry for how thick and low the grind is on something like this, I think they walked a fine line and executed performance with capability in a way that's pretty hard to do. A lot of knives, when they have a lower grind, they didn't go so low. You know, there is a transitional point, especially back here, where you get a lot of your engagement with cardboard, different things like that, where you would be slicing. The transition there is really well done, and I was actually surprised with the amount of cutting performance. It didn't feel like I was just working with a dagger, even though it has a more dagger-esque profile to it. It actually got a lot of just general utility done, but because of the spear point, the swedge with the unsharpened, bayonet style to it, piercing very deep, but also having some lateral strength, and especially because of the MagnaCut steel. The MagnaCut steel really executed well there. And then you got that black wash blade shape. Really dig it. Leave a comment if you like bayonet style blades. I think it's a very much like, everyone visually connects with it, but do you actually like using these styles of blades? I'd be really curious what you guys think about that. Now, we have just a huge chunk of aluminum for all of you over there in the British Isles. And this thing does not weigh a ton, under 4 ounces. I believe claimed weight is 3.7. I didn't put it on my scale, but 3.7 OZ ounces. And I have large size hands with a knuck span of 3.25 across. Check out how much real estate I got there, guys. Tons and tons of real estate right there. Good jimp. It's not ultra sharp or like aggressive. I laid my thumb on there all day, no problem. And then you still have like a flattened shelf right there. But we have very deep, kind of squared off cut in, but they've chamfered the aluminum there very well, so I'm not going to accidentally, ride up. I had full confidence and grip when I was doing a piercing move because of the way they cut it in, the jimp, the shoulders that are rounded, but also the micarta inlay. Oh yeah, on both sides, dude. I love it when a company just, and when I'm about to lay down the price for you, because you're probably like, oh, MagnaCut, American, auto, like what are we talking, $300? False! We're going to get to that in just a second. But to do that, I mean, it's just excellent, man. It's just excellent. And they've carried over what and I'm sure other people, but I know I did heavily harp on when the Bel Air first came out to put that clip on all their knives. They have done that on actually both of these. Loop over, recess screws, excellent. It's ambi. A lot of autos are not. Big standoffs. You could run lanyard through there if you want. Really well done. Full grip at 0.51 stock thickness. Let's just look at that action really quick. Bam, fires out. No safety. Who freaking needs a safety, man? This is like a G19. My G19, dude. No freaking safety. What are we talking about? We don't need that crap. Hit it and quit it. Boom. That thing just fires out. Infinite ammo unlocked with this blade right here. I mean, this definitely has that feeling of both utility, but also, you know, defensive roles if necessary. God forbid. Not recommended. Do that all at your own risk. But really well done there, and the action is very good and snappy. All my launches are really snappy, but that thing just really fires off. Can I do it one-handed? Just barely. Just barely can do it. Let's talk pricing here. The one drawback, okay? So the one drawback, I've done the shake test, and this happens sometimes with automatics because of the winding spring in there. All of my other launches, and I have about 6, have no rattle. This one, there's some rattle in there. That is the spring when it is not under the tension. Meaning when it's, or I guess under, yeah, I guess it's sitting in there loose. So anyway, what usually happens there is that it might not have had quite enough lube just to keep it from shaking around. I mean, I have a lot of different blades that do that. You know, be aware of that. I'm just saying, if you have the rattle, it doesn't affect anything. It's just a little annoying. And none of the other ones that we're about to look at do that. So, and none, even my original launch one that I've had since the launch series came out, I don't even know, 8, 10 years ago? How long ago has it been? Doesn't have nothing, no rattle there. So just something to be aware of. It's probably just my model, but if you get one that is rattling a little bit when closed, it's not, it doesn't affect functionality in any way. But what about pricing? Okay, here we go. First one, the cheapest, I was hunting around, GP Knives, when I'm making this video, has this blade for a staggering $170. $170 for properly heat-treated magnet cut, USA made, an automatic, all the things you're seeing here, under 200 bucks by a long shot is bananas. I do not know how Kershaw can continue to create USA made blades with premium materials at this level and price point. Is staggering. Now, Kershaw did hook me up with both of these samples. They did not pay or sponsor for this content in any way, shape, or form. I just have my affiliate links to GP Knives, but also to all the other, you know, DLT, Blade HQ, all that stuff. If either of these models or some of the other competitive options, I always appreciate when you guys check those out. So, awesome value on this. Leave a comment below. And you know what? I'm just going to hit that actually before we look at the second guy here as an example. Here is the BENCHMADE CLA in Magna Cut 60 to 62 HRC determined. But the CLA, $400. I could literally buy 2 of these and still have money left over compared to the CLA from BENCHMADE USA made. It does have a safety. It's a cool piece. G10 handles. Very cool piece. Styling is excellent if you like safeties, you know, ambi, all that stuff. But I mean, you're going to pay more than twice, $400 in comparison to this Kershaw. It is bananas. Okay, so now let's talk real briefly, touch on another automatic device, the A5 automatic field watch from today's sponsor, which is Veer Watches. And there are 3 things I want to hit with you on why this watch stands out from so many others, and I continue to connect with it. And the first reason is that they are a US-based company that assembles these automatic watches right here in the USA, which is a really rare thing. And it feeds and fuels US manufacturing, US jobs, as people are putting these together with precision using automatic movements from Japan and then putting them together right here in America. And it's just cool when you have something on your wrist that you know American workers helped assemble and put together. Second reason is durability. The sapphire crystal over this face, you can drag your knife across it and it does nothing. But you do that to an inexpensive timepiece, which absolutely have their place, but you do that, it's gonna curl away that cheap plastic or cheap glass and cause issues immediately, along with the screw down crown. A lot of cheap timepieces would have a pull, so you can accidentally bump that out, floods the watch, it's ruined. This has a screw down lockout crown to be able to keep the waterproof capability to 100 meters in tandem with the 316 stainless steel body. And 3 is customization. Who doesn't like tricking out their gear? And Vaer Watches has a unique quick release system so that you can change out the wristbands depending on your environment. That is just the tip of the iceberg, and maybe automatic isn't for you. They have solar, they have quartz, and so many other styles to choose from. And if you subscribe to their newsletter, you can get 10% off your first purchase. So I'm gonna have a link popping up and in the description box below. I encourage you, go check out Vaer Watches and score yourself a timepiece that's gonna keep on ticking. All right, how about to the sleek and slim, if it could be possible, even more high value performer here on the Launch 23. Now, the Launch 23 doesn't have any inlays, but it does have some really cool etching there on the aluminum handle. And you're gonna have that kind of flush on purpose. They've kind of recessed this a little bit button. So, I mean, it's almost flush with that body, just ever so slightly raised. So that is one thing to be aware of, but it kind of flows and matches with the whole style and design. Bam, you fire that out. And what I like is that even though it is thinner, let me double check that thinness here. At 0.48 on the thickness there, I have full grip and real estate. Now, just barely, but I have just enough. So for those of you who want a little bit more of a compact design than what the 22 offers, then this one is going to probably be the one with 3.3 inches of blade length. I like that. You know, they didn't shrink it down. This is, I think, like the perfect working size. Between 3.25 and 3.5 is, I think, kind of like the sport utility level blade shape for most people in length. And it's going to be 3.3 ounces. So it's nice and lightweight with that flow-through construction, standoffs, lanyard hole, all the things, the same pocket clip as I discussed, and ambi as well. Now, what's really cool is the two-tone on the blade with a very high flat grind, and it's going to be thinner at 0.12, so an eighth of an inch thick, thinner, slicier than what is going to be on the 22 with this 23 right here. So obviously it speaks to more precision, lightweight carrying, you know, it looks very aggressive, definitely has piercing capability. The tip is very thin, so don't be prying with that. But it has enough little meat there to be able to at least get in and, you know, you're not afraid of using the tool. And then you have that big, long swedge down the back there, but still, again, giving you good guard grip and a little hit of jimping. Again, if you're going to do jimping, I'm not like a massive fan of jimping, but if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it right there. I don't even feel it. Don't know, it doesn't create a hot spot, but it gives me a little something to at least grab onto in that regard. Now, this is using CPM 154 steel. That helps with value a little bit. CPM 154 is different than 154 CM. There's some differences in there. Rockwell 58 to 60, so you're looking at right around, from my experience, very similar to S35VN. Most people are not going to notice the difference between those two blades, steels, from my personal experience right there. Easy and easier to maintain. Use something like the Sharpel. I know I always get questions like, what's that knife? This is not a knife. This scabbard is a strop, and then you have coarse and ultra fine diamond stones. It's just a cool way to sharpen your blades. But this is going to be much easier to hone, maintain than MagnaCut. MagnaCut is still doable, but and I've done it with about 5 minutes, but this is just going to be an easier thing to do and maintain. Usually just some stropping from time to time is all you really need. With that, I'll try and link this, and anything you guys see here, I do my best to try and link below all the stuff that I always get questions. Where'd you get that? What's this? What's that? It's all in the description. Everything's in the description box below. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think the pricing is on this? But I guess, well, guess on that. Leave a comment. But I want to hit the one thing that was kind of weird. The action is okay. It's fine, but it's the slowest of all of my launches. That one you can just see snaps out so much more. Here again is my Launch 1, the longest running in the collection, and you can just see that that fires out slightly faster, which doesn't make any sense because it's not like the blade is heavy. And so much so, I actually was talking with Kershaw, and the first one was even slower. So this one is faster, and I was like, hey, is that supposed to be like that? Like, no, it shouldn't be. But I don't know. For whatever reason, this is the slowest launch that I own. So just be aware of that. It still fires out, but I just noticed a difference. It doesn't snap, and it doesn't launch. Ew, Look at that, that was gross. Like many of my other launch models, but it's pretty like kind of standard for, it feels like a broken-in auto from the get-go. So there you go. That's my experience with that. 150 bucks at GP Knives. GP Knives seems to be the cheapest currently. 150 bucks is bonkers for American-made aluminum auto, CPM 154. All that stuff is bananas. And as we get to kind of the conclusion here, just running in not only some competitive options from the launch series, this one being, I believe, one of the cheaper ones at 135 currently, the original launch one, right there in CPM 154 as well. But then, I mean, we have 165 for the aluminum, and they just came out with the G10 version of the Iridium launch right there. You can see it's much closer in size and profile to the 22 now, just a little bit different styling and doesn't have the micarta inlays, but I mean, it's $5 less. And look what you get with this, and definitely kind of a bigger, stronger blade, all that type of stuff. Here's the deal, guys. I want to see in 2026, what do I want to see, right? I want to see Kershaw start doing some of these autos that are just so epic on so many levels in manual. Automatics are epic. I love carrying them, but it's a very small market, and that might be why they create so many of these launch series, is because maybe their manufacturing amount, they can only do so much, and like we will never be able to keep up with demand if we go manual. That might be the reason. But I think if they picked like one or two of their best selling autos in the launch series and then start throwing the Duralock on there, I think that would be epic. I hope that they will start to transition some of those over, throw a crossbar, maybe even do a button lock. I think some of us, still make them in the US, still make them with the same materials, do everything the same, but just delete, if you will, the automatic feature, and we start getting a couple of these models. I mean, look at this guy. Bam! This one, what is this one? This is the Launch 21 in M4 steel, and this thing's like 155 bucks. It's just like ridiculous. Imagine this monster with a crossbar. I mean, that would be so cool. I mean, it would take a little bit of different engineering on that front, or one of these guys. So just one or two of their best-selling autos and start making them manuals in 2026. I think maybe it'd take 2 years, 2027. But whatever. That would just be amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's what I hope to see. Really appreciate you guys hanging. And until next time, leave comments, questions. I'll do my best to answer. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.